Okay, Ben, I suppose the first question is, why now?
Well, it's just one of those things, you hear everyone say that when you know. And, it's obviously not an easy decision to make, but there's a lot of things that, I considered was, longevity in the sport. I want to be playing as long as I possibly can. Obviously now being the Test captain, that's where, my sort of just everything is at for me at the moment. I was always going to have to choose one of the white ball formats to stop playing and then focus on the other as well as Test cricket. But yeah, after the first game against India at the Oval, it just sort of hit me that it's going to have to be this format, because not being able to go out there and give everything that I can, I've been an all-rounder with the bat and ball, and almost feeling like I have to look after myself for games in the future is not what the England shirt deserves. It deserves 100% from anyone whoever puts the shirt on. So with that, and then also feeling like I'm stopping someone else come into the team and progress themselves as a player and go on and do create some amazing memories like I've managed to do over the last 11 years with an amazing group of players. All that considered, it was right times now.
And so it was as recently as that series just gone that suddenly it all started coming together in your mind.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be. I didn't know which one it would be, but I guess when it, as I say, when you know.
This is a special place for it all to be wrapping up. What are your memories of coming here when playing for England was still quite some way away, still a distant dream?
Yeah, look, Durham gave me, my first opportunity, back when I was younger on the academy, and then progressed through onto to represent them in first-class cricket. It's amazing that it sort of worked out this way. And Joss and Motti were unbelievable when I told them what I was doing, and I asked if they wouldn't mind if I could play the first game in the series as is at Durham and that be my last game, and they were just said yeah, absolutely. It wasn't even a doubt on their mind. So it's very nice of them, very nice for me to know that I'll be playing here, because I've only played 2 games here for England since I started playing. So to walk out wearing the England shirt on this ground where everything started for me is very special.
Do you expect to find that quite an emotional experience?
Don't know. Have to wait and see, I guess. But I guess it because I've still got the other 2 formats now that I'm going to still be playing in and putting all my efforts into. It's it's not like I'm never playing again. But yeah, it's just knowing that I won't be in this format anymore with some unbelievable people in that dressing room who I played so many games with. That's the sad side of it all. But on the other side, it's now I know that I can give my 100% to the Test team as I always do, and now 100% to the T20 side going forward, rather than what I felt like I was doing was 100% Test, 50% one days, 50% T20s, because I was trying to look after myself for longevity and stuff like that, which just didn't sit well with me.
You've spoken about an unsustainable schedule. What do you mean by that?
Well, I just feel like there's just too much sort of cricket rammed in for people to play all 3 formats. Now it's a lot harder than what I think it used to be. I look back when I was doing all 3, it didn't feel like it was as jam packed and everything like that. So you obviously you want to play as much cricket as you possibly can, but when it's making you feel tired and sore, and you've got to look towards 5-6 months down the road of what you're doing in the here and now, it's probably not the best thing. But yeah,
should it be a bit of a wake-up call to the authorities that players are having to pick and choose and think about what they can commit to, considering the amount of cricket there is?
I don't know, I guess so. I mean, look, obviously the more cricket's played, the better for the sport. But obviously you want a product that's of the highest quality. You want the best players to be playing as much as you possibly can all the time, and it's not just us or me. You see it all around the world now, where teams are having to rest some players in a certain series, so then they feel like they're getting the break. But I just said, we're not cars where you can't just fill us up and then we'll go off and out there and then wait to be filled up again. I mean, you know, we had a test series going on, and then the one-day team had a series going on at the same time. That was a bit silly.
For you, 50 over cricket has had one remarkable high. Is that going to be the moment that you will be able to look back on and think, you know what, I gave that format everything?
Yeah, look, obviously that one-day final, lifting that World Cup was an amazing day. But I think it goes back further than just that one day. You know, that 4 years we had as a team after, you know, from 2015, that whole ride, that whole journey that we shared together to get to that one day. That's what I'll look back on, not just that day, everything that we managed to do before that. You know, the records we broke, the way that we changed 50 over cricket for everybody. That 4 years is what I'll look back on, you know, and then that resulted in us lifting that trophy in 2019. You know, I've had some amazing memories with some amazing people in that dressing room. Nothing but good memories. You know, along the road there'll be some ups and downs, but you know, I've thoroughly enjoyed the 104 games that I've played for England in this format. It's been incredible.
How confident are you in the success of this England team going forward in 50 over cricket? Very.
You know, they've got a leader in Joss Buttler who epitomises everything that we want to be as a white ball team. You know, he's got the experience of being vice captain to Owen for a number of years, and he gives everything he can. You know, he's a very selfless cricketer, selfless man, and a selfless captain. And he's going to drive this team forward in the same way that Owen did, but in his own fashion. You know, he's going to impose himself with his personality in the way that he wants, and everyone who walks out on the field under Joss Buttler will give him everything, because he's a man that you follow by the way that he plays the game, and he's just respected by everybody.
Did you think about making it a temporary decision and perhaps leave the door open for ICC events?
You know, you obviously think about stuff like that, but you know, what I don't want to be doing is saying, nah, don't play that, and then when, say, an ICC event comes up, be like, yeah, because, you know, this gives an amazing opportunity for someone to come in, get experience, and then hopefully go and win that World Cup again like we managed to do in 2019. You know, it wouldn't be fair on anybody who gets that opportunity with me now not playing this format to then just all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, I'll come back. You know, it's not what it's about. You know, it's someone else's turn now to go out and try and progress themselves as a player in this format. You know, the talent that we've got sitting on the sidelines at the moment is something as well that I looked at, saying that him there would be out here giving Joss absolutely everything, and you know, I've not been able to do that over the last 3 games, unfortunately.
And just finally, it says quite a lot about Test cricket that you're showing this commitment to that format of the game, and clearly the start you've had as captain and the way it's gone, you're loving it.
Yeah, Test cricket's always been, you know, the absolute pinnacle for me. It's, you know, that's where everything is for me now. With obviously being Test captain, it's even not more important, but it's a lot more to think about. So, you know, that's where I wanted the longevity thing to come in, because I want to be playing till I'm 35, 36 at least. And I spoke with Stuart Broad, and I asked him, I said, when he stopped playing white ball cricket, is that a huge reason as to why you're still playing now? And he said, undoubtedly yes. So hopefully when I'm still playing at 36, I can look back on this moment here and say, like, there was a big reason as to why I'm still able to get out on the park and represent England in Test cricket.
Well, that was Ben Stokes speaking to Henry Moran before play today. We heard Ben Stokes talking about that final ball of the World Cup final. He was batting, of course, with Mark Wood, who's alongside me now. What were your thoughts, Mark, about Ben Stokes retiring? Were you surprised when you heard the news?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was sad more than anything, I would say. The fact that I'm not going to play with him in this format again, you know, at the age he's at, I didn't expect him to stop. I mean, you don't expect him to stop at all, really, Stokes, if I'm honest, but yeah, I just feel a bit sad, to be honest. That's my overriding feeling on it. It's just, I thought that he, you know, 50 over World Cup, and I want to defend that. And I know he's a legend and icon, probably across all forms. But you know, when you think back to the World Cup final, that's iconic, isn't it? He'll always be remembered for that. So it's a sad day that he'll not be playing this format anymore.
The right decision for him, though, it seems.
Oh yeah, I can understand it. you don't want him to give 80% in Test cricket, 80% in 2020, and 80% in 50 overs. I think the kind of guy that he is, he has to give 100% in absolutely everything he does, whether it's training or playing. And with the schedule, it just seems a bit mental to think that he could be throwing everything into it as a Test captain, and that's a completely different team for the ODIs, and he can't get there. So I think the scheduling has probably made the decision easier for him. For me, I think if you think back to maybe even a year or two ago, like if he wasn't captain, maybe then he would have stuck at it a little bit more. But with seeing what's happened to his good pal Ruti, and knowing that by the end Ruti was exhausted, and seeing other nations and other players do it, and choose different formats, it's probably just helped his decision. And look, he can still give 100% in Test match cricket, still give 100% in 2020, but this is the one that has to go for him.
You said there that the players aren't like cars. You can't just sort of fill them up with petrol and sort of send them back out again. Is that perhaps the biggest message yet about the cricket schedule, that it needs to be looked at? Or is it just one of those things that actually, you cannot play across 3 formats? There's enough cricket for everybody in a way. You have a big squad and a squad of players. You can field your teams, but actually it's just unrealistic to expect one player to play all 3 formats.
Well, I'd like to play all 3 still. Obviously, I say that as a man that is currently injured and has a poor injury record. But I would still love to try and defend that 50 over if I could. I think it is becoming harder with the schedules. You can't. There's no way I can go from bowling 25 to 30 overs trying to bowl 90 mile an hour, for 4 or 5 days of cricket, and then 2 days later be playing 50 over cricket, and then 3 days later another series, and then 2020s, then straight back into Test matches. It's just not going to work. So I understand why he has stopped. I totally get it. I just feel sad about it. It's not a criticism of him or anything, and actually I respect him as a person, not just as a cricketer, to be brave enough to make that decision and say, look, this is going to prolong my career, this is going to make me better in the other formats. So you've got to say fair enough.
How much does it undermine England's defence of the World Cup in 14, 15 months' time? I mean, he was such a pivotal member of the side that won it. It's going to be hard enough as it is going to India to try to defend it.
Yeah,
is it a huge loss for England?
It's a big loss. Obviously, him and Morgan are a huge loss. I mean, I blame Joss Butler. He's getting rid of people left, right, and centre, isn't he? But no, I think look, it'll be any team without Stokes, and it's a big loss. It was a big loss without Morgie. I thought obviously he was our captain. He would defend that, but obviously he's not going to be there now. We're off probably our main player or our best player. So yeah, it's a huge challenge, but it gives other people opportunity. We've got big depth in across England white ball cricket at the minute, so it gives someone else a chance. But nobody fills Stokes' shoes really when you think about it. Like, who else is going to bat ball and field like he does? So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it seems like an absurd question in a way, isn't it? Are England going to miss him? Of course they're going to miss him, a player of that quality. But I suppose if you can't give 100%, if you feel you can't give 100% to it, perhaps there is a player there. I don't know, someone like Liam Livingstone might step up. Not quite the same sort of player because he spins rather than bowls pace. Who actually probably passively can give 100% to it.
Yeah, and I think that was the main thing I got from what he said, was that he wanted to be able to give the team everything. And like you say, if he can't give 100%, that would play on his personality as much as anything else. He wouldn't accept it if he was or feels like he's letting the team down in some way. He definitely wouldn't be. I mean, even 80% of Stokes is more than enough, but he would feel like if it's not his best or what he can give on the day is his best, then he certainly wouldn't want to just keep pushing it for the sake of it.
So it's not something you would consider doing because you want to play as much as possible.
Not at the minute. I mean, I've missed enough cricket to want to say, oh well, I'll just play one or the other. I think at the minute I've got to get my own priorities right. Stokes, he's got that luxury because he's England Test captain, plus he's played so much cricket through this last period that he can almost say, look, I've worked hard for this, and I see myself going through the 2020 route in 1 day, because he'll still be a huge part of that. It's not like he's given up 1 day cricket. I just feel like the Test captaincy has played a huge role in this. if you take over the Test match job, he's not just a Test match player anymore. He's got all the other stuff to deal with and be a part of, and that energy will take away from that as well. So he's going to have more energy to do that job than just what he's had before. So that's probably where it feels like it's just, I guess, dulling it down a bit if he plays everything, because it'll not mean that he's so energetic, so Ben Stokes like, I guess, if he does everything.
What is all that stuff behind the scenes? Just give people an insight into what you have to do as Test cap. It's not just about going out there and leading the side on the field and obviously trying to produce dominating performances as well. What's all that stuff behind the scenes?
So it's just the pressure is one, but the other thing, it's like team selection, making sure everyone's okay, training patterns, training plans, getting the right people in place off the field. Rudy was doing so much at one point where it was just like, he's just not just the captain on the field, he's almost like a second team manager behind closed doors, and eventually that just wears you down, when you've got you're trying to build a good team culture, you're trying to get plans in place, you're planning ahead for the next series. COVID hit, all that kind of stuff. You could see, COVID won't be hopefully an issue for Stokesy, but you can still see that there might be issues that crop up for him that'll take his gaze away, that aren't just on the field. There'll be other stuff behind closed doors that he has to look at. He's got himself as a brand as well. He's not just Ben Stokes, cricketer. He's got these other endorsements and himself. He's got other things that people want, his time and things like that. So he's got to just spread it out as best he can.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, isn't it? That you don't see all those other things you're sort of required to do as England captain, all the events you have to turn up for, because you are the figurehead of the English game.
Yeah.
Just on, we heard you talking there about the World Cup final. You were out there for the last ball. I don't know whether you replay it back in your mind often.
Never. Not after that dive, never again.
Because he had the chance to biff that ball into the stand, didn't he, off Trent Bolt? But he said there very explicitly, I just needed to keep this along the ground to make sure we at least got one.
Great thinking, but I still blame him. He'd been hitting full-on Yorkers, sweeping them into the crowd for six. He gets a full toss, he knocks it down the ground. It was great thinking at the time, really. I'm only joking. Great thinking that it's just the execution. If he could have gotten it a little bit wider of mid-wicket, just to mid-on's left, I might have had a chance, but he nailed it directly at mid-on, and I just couldn't get back.
Yeah, he sort of dead batted it to sort of mid-on, because the long-on fielder had to come in then. He might have had a chance to get up and down. How much were you at your crease as he bowled that ball?
I actually wasn't at all. I'll tell you why. Actually, as he was running in, it's mental, but when you're under pressure, you think about a million things. So I was thinking, don't get man-catted, make sure that you're on like the good part of the pitch to run on, make sure you turn and you sprint and you dive. Like, all these things were going through my head. Well, actually, I could have maybe pinched a couple of yards if I'd been switched on, but I was so nervous that I didn't want to mess it up.
Well, it was just as well you were run out, because it gave us the super over drama as well.
Thank you, cheers. Thanks.
Great, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Mark.